Thanks to this month's supporter, Metamark, for the support of this podcast. This episode is brought to you by Arlon Graphics, trusted for innovative, high-performance cast vinyls. Check out their newest product, DPF V9500, a non-PVC polyurethane wall film built to tackle ultra-textured surfaces like a pro. More exciting new products to come soon from Arlon. Check them all out at Wensco.com. So the show starts in like 23 minutes, so we'll go through it pretty quick and try to get done.
This is live?
No.
Oh, the show
this
here.
Show starts,
I was like, whoa,
before people start coming in behind us, it gets super loud in here, right?
That,
so,
yeah, exactly.
So we'll speed through it pretty fast here.
Sugar Ray Leonard just got on the stage, so
yeah. All right, I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Slightly Serious Sign Podcast, brought to you by Wensco Sign Supply, the #1 podcast in the sign and graphics industry for news, events, new products, and customer success stories. If you want to know what's going on or you want to grow your sign shop, you're in the right place. Here is one, some, or all of your hosts, Mike, Tyler, and Domingo. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slightly Serious Sign Podcast. As you may have noticed, if you're watching on video or if you're listening on audio, it sounds a little different. It definitely looks a little different. We're not in the studio here. So we're here at the FastSigns show here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're lucky enough to have some guests on while we're out traveling, so we brought all of our equipment. I'll let the guest introduce himself, and that'll make it an easier transition into kind of what we're going to talk about here today. So if you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great.
I will. Tyler, thank you. And thank you for being at our show.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you here. We're excited we got here despite the weather.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
My name is Mark Jameson, and I am the Chief Development Officer for FastSigns and Propelled Brands, which owns FastSigns. And I've been with the company for 17 years. Excited to be here.
Perfect. So the reason we wanted to come on is I thought it would be a benefit to have someone come on and talk about if you're currently working at a sign shop or you own a sign shop, this should be beneficial for either of you. So what does the process look like if you are an existing, if you're working at a sign shop now and you're thinking, oh, I'd really love to own my own sign shop one day, or maybe you're not even in the business at all and you're like, oh, I'd love to own one day. What does it look like to go through the process of either starting a new franchise or even buying an existing FastSigns franchise?
Great. I could talk through that, and maybe we could talk a little bit about if you're a sign shop, what it's like to convert.
Yeah.
But if you want to become a FastSigns franchisee, we obviously love that. We have 450 markets still open and listed, ready to sell. They're on our website, FastSigns.com. And basically, we have financial criteria is probably the big first step, and that is that you have to have a $250,000 net worth. And about 80,000 of that should be in cash.
Okay.
Now we can finance it. We have great relationships, and most of the time you can put about $40,000 or $50,000 into it and finance the rest of it.
Okay.
But the banks and landlords and us want to make sure you've got some cushion there.
Yep.
And we do really everything. What's interesting, and you talk about if they're in the sign business, about 97% of our new franchisees, 99% have virtually no sign experience.
Yeah.
We teach them everything. But we've had many people who have worked in the industry. We also have had some of our former employees and suppliers that have bought FastSigns franchises. And we love that, obviously. It makes a lot of sense. So, and then we have a pre-qualification. We take you through the process, start to finish. And if you become approved by a franchisee, I interview the final candidates, and we approve you because we want to make sure everybody's a good fit and understands the rules and the guidelines. And then we do really everything to put them in business. We start them with finding real estate, identifying a location. We look for about 12 to 1,500 square feet for new franchisees. We order their equipment package. We do the setup. They go through about a month's worth of training. 1 week with a mentor, a franchisee who helps them understand the rules and the systems and the tools and how we sell and how we market and how we brand. 2 weeks at our headquarters in Dallas. And then we're on site for about a week, typically when they get ready to open. Yeah. But we have a very step-by-step process. Once they identify a location, then we do the design, the build out, the construction. So the good news is they don't need to know any of that, right? They're ready to run the business. Franchisees for us are best if they're sales oriented. Yeah. Technical people are not needed, unfortunately, because we have a lot of technical expertise we can hire to that. But our business is driven by being in the community, the face of the business, meeting people, and driving sales.
Yeah. So what's cool, like being at this show, is so you see the regular franchisees, the ones that already own them, but there's also like two other groups that we've seen doing these shows. So one is people that have recently opened or recently have purchased one, right? And they'll have, like, a lot of times what we'll see that as is like a first time attendee on the badge, and they'll give you an idea, like either they haven't been here before or they just opened. And the other one that we see, which I didn't even realize maybe 3 or 4 years ago when we were doing these, but is the people that are in the process, right? They don't even have a location. They don't have anything. I don't know how far away in their process are before they come to the show, but they're just coming and be like, yeah, we're in the process. We're coming just to kind of see what everything is here. And oftentimes those people, when we talk to them, be like, oh, what were you doing before this? And it's stuff you would never think of. And they'd be like, yeah, I just decided to open a sign shop, So we think about it from like a lot of, I think from our side of things, like a lot of traditional sign shops are like either former employees that went up and started their own, or they were in the business and then bought the business they were working at, So I think it's interesting. A lot of the FastSigns ones are not sign shops. And I wonder if you guys feel like there is actually a benefit to coming in green versus coming in with bad habits or something like that.
It's a good question, and I think we've pondered it as well. But I would say, we'll talk about it, but we have 3 programs to become a FastSigns. Brand new, which is what we're talking about. And then we also have independents who convert, so they get the benefits of the marketing and the branding and vendor discounts. And then we co-brand with people that are in related industries like print. But in some ways, not having experience can be a very big positive, right? Because they learn the system from the ground up. And like I said earlier, we want our franchisees focused less on making signs and more on selling. They're generally the chief salesperson. They're in the market. They're building relationships, because we can hire and train, especially more and more now using AI and other things, to get them to hire great people and to help with production and to do that part of it. So, you said a little bit earlier, there's groups here. So we invite, once you sign a franchise agreement, whether you're open or not, we encourage them to come to convention, because that's a great learning experience. To talk to suppliers like you and to learn. They're here with, weather changed it a little bit. Unexpected storm in Charlotte, but in Dallas, which was the hub to get here. We were going to have about 1,000 people, 600 and something franchisees, a couple hundred vendors and suppliers, and then our team. And so I don't know that there's a right answer, but I would tell you most of our new franchisees have virtually no sign experience. And what they're really looking for, we think of this as the sign business, you and I, who've been in it for years. Really, they're looking for a business model that they can make money. And what they love about this business model, it's Monday through Friday, typically. Might do installs later and weekends. You think about that versus opening a McDonald's or a restaurant or a retail store. So we appeal to professionals that want to build their own wealth and maybe sometimes bring their children or spouse in the business. We have a lot of multi-generational franchisees, but they want to do their own thing and they love the work hours. It's generally a clean business. It can be messy at times, but and they love that they're dealing with other business people. Right? It's a B2B. You're not dealing with that consumer who's going to complain because they didn't get enough whipped cream on their coffee cup or something, right? It's a really collaborative business. So, so basically you'll have here, as you said, we've got right now about 27 stores that are in the process of opening across the country and in the UK. We have our UK franchisees here as well. And then last year we had another record year of signing new agreements. We signed over 30 new franchise agreements. Those people, some of them signed 2 weeks ago. And we say, we think you should come. It's a great learning experience. You meet the team. We have a lot of motivational speakers and training, and most of them want to come, which is awesome. And then they get to talk to suppliers like you and everybody else here and learn the business before they open their doors.
How much, as one who has to bring in these people that have never been in the sign business, My question is, I think we've always thought that this business is maybe, I don't know where I put the percentage, let's say 70-30, 70% sales and marketing, and then 30% is maybe the technical work of it, right? I don't think that the technical work of making, at least the signs that FastSigns are going to specialize in, right? That they're not going, most of them aren't going out and doing, channel letters and huge ones. They're getting, some of them scale up to that size, right? But at start, most of them are not like bending aluminum and all that kind of stuff, right?
They subcontract that. Yeah, they do it, but they subcontract it at the beginning. You guys are,
what you guys are training them to do, how much more emphasis are you guys putting on sales and marketing than the technical work of actually making signs?
I think you're pretty right, Tyler. I think 70-30 is probably the number, that it is a 70% teaching them the business, training them the business. Some of that is understanding materials and the difference between that. Some of it's understanding supply chain. But we really see this as a sales and marketing business. We, some years ago changed our tagline to make your statement, and we have gotten out of the commodity business. Our locations are changing. We're not even focused on retail storefronts like you used to see us. We're now going into office and industrial. And what that means is you got to drive the customers. You got to find the customers. You've got to go out and sell them on all we can do. We don't want to be doing, we do, but we don't want to be just focused on yard signs and the things people think of us for. We're doing wall murals and digital signs and the big stuff. Now, whether we do it in-house or we collaborate with great suppliers like you, changes, and that depends on the franchisee. There is a life cycle, but I think you're dead on. I think our focus is about 70% of running the business, so there's a business management side of it, teaching and training the core parts of this industry, but most of it's sales and marketing. And our most successful franchisees, the new ones that we've really seen in this last 5 years as we've evolved more and more to sales and marketing, most of them are senior sales executives in an unrelated industry, the food industry. Logistics, and they got laid off or they're worried about their job, and they come to us for the next opportunity.
Yeah, that's interesting. When you brought up earlier that it's a Monday through Friday, I didn't even think about that from some of them that are probably coming from the food business. One of the guys we talked to that came from the automotive business, right? And even if you're in car sales, that's still Saturday's your best day, right? You're working Saturdays for forever, right? So that's an interesting perspective for sure.
We certainly know there's installs and things to do after hours. We know that this business. But in terms of the sales side of it, it's a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 business. And that's, if you want to have that balance of life and work, it works well for people. Yeah,
that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought how much emphasis you guys put on sales and marketing. It makes sense from our side, from showing, we do a lot of trainings, right? So showing people the basics of here's how you install graphics on a wall, here's how you install graphics on a car, here's how you build a basic sign cabinet, right? Yeah. And we can do those trainings in a day, 8 hours, you can get somebody at least like functional at doing that type of work. So there's not a lot of, although it's definitely an art for some of these vehicle wraps and wall murals and all that kind of stuff, a lot of the basic work is really not that hard to teach, I don't think.
Well, it isn't, but remember, we actually don't really encourage the franchisee to be the sign installer, right? They're hiring people. There's a lot of talent in the sign industry. Yeah. They may be looking for a change, and so our franchisees might recruit them from other sign companies, and or hire people that have handyman skills and things like that, because it is relatively easy to learn. Yeah. And I agree with you. This business is becoming more probably art than it is technical in some ways, right? I've always said that about vehicle wraps. It's as much of a science than it is anything else. Yeah, for sure. And so we really do believe they can fire graphic designers. We want them to hire somebody who has the skill set to do that. That's probably the one position that's different. But even in the sales people they hire, we do really well, not necessarily with people who come from the sign business. Yep. People who come from a B2B sales experience. Yeah. They sold to other B2B, so phone services and things like that, even print newspaper ads, which is a lot harder work than selling signs and graphics.
Yeah. So your emphasis more for at least the people that are starting the franchises is to essentially hire out as much as they can do, right? You want them really running the sales, running the marketing, and not the one that's actually practitioner and installing and being out in the field making sales? Is that really where your
100%,
emphasis is?
100%.
Okay.
And when we see successful franchisees, we certainly teach them when they come to Dallas how to print banners and how to do all sorts of the technical stuff. But we remind them that the driver of this business, if you have nothing to sell, you don't got to worry about the production side. Yeah. So it's all about getting the sale done, understand the business so you understand the workflow and what you're selling, right? Because there are differences in whether it's indoor, it's outdoor, it's going to be short-term, long-term, all those factors. But we want them to be salespeople. In fact, if we certainly turn down people that we don't think necessarily have the fit to be out in the market. It's not knocking on doors, it's building relationships.
Yeah. So if you're an existing sign shop, right, and everything we just covered, where you're like, that might actually be my bottleneck, right? Maybe I'm super great, at building signs, but there's not a lot of business coming in. It doesn't feel like, unless it's a repeat customer. Is that kind of your guys' target market for existing sign shops converting to FastSigns? Is like, hey, if you're having issues on the sales and marketing side, if we can get you into this ecosystem, I think there's an inherent value to the marketing that we bring in and the brand of FastSigns as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I launched the conversion program, and we have a co-brand, which is a little bit different, but in 2009, we've since added over 100 locations that were independent sign shops. There's typically a couple of reasons people do it. One is absolutely that they're not a sales and marketing person. Number two, I recall Jeffrey Chudoff, who I'll give a plug, one of our amazing franchisees in New Jersey. He had been in the sign business for probably 20 years, considered himself a real sign expert, won all sorts of awards. And he said, but when I put the name on the door and on the website and the advertising, major companies started calling me that would never have called me as, Bob's Sign Shop. Yeah. And so we help drive leads. We teach them how to sell to those leads. That is the big thing. The other thing that's interesting is it's very hard in this business to sometimes exit the business and sell the business. And so we do get sometimes people of an age that are like, well, because the person buying it, who's going to teach them? Who's going to train them? And so very often people will buy into it, become a FastSigns from their independent sign business, so they have an exit strategy.
Interesting.
Or a strategy for the next generation. Hey, my daughter wants to take over this business, but she's a salesperson. She doesn't want to be knowing all this other stuff. And we support that with training and all of that. So there's two reasons. But I think the primary reason that conversions come to us absolutely is for the sales and the marketing piece. That's our weakness. We spend $15 million a year on national advertising. I just saw I won't talk about it yet because it's not officially launched yet, but we just announced to our franchisees a bit of a change in our strategy and more television and YouTube and videos online and things that really drive people to the brand. And, when I joined this company, we were probably number 2 or 3 in the business. We've been number 1 in terms of locations and openings and by Entrepreneur Magazine 10 years in a row. It's a lot of work and a lot of effort. And that's the effort of our highly advanced technical team that works with you guys. We bring that to the table because we have a help desk for them. But it's really about the brand. And that brand is built on sales and marketing.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. When I look at it from, so an example with this is like when we do catering for our open houses, right? If I'm in my hometown, right, I can usually pick out a local restaurant that be like, oh, this local place will do great work, right? But when I go to a new city and we're going to do it, and I'm like, okay, this has to work, right? And there may be a lot of great reviews for a local restaurant, right? But how good is their catering?
It's an unknown.
Yes. But if I do it through like Qdoba, which is one we use frequently, right? It's a pretty consistent experience from city to city. I know if I reach out to Qdoba Catering, I'm going to get a good result, right? And I think that is the value that FastSigns would bring to these shops, right? Where if you're looking for something and you don't know what to do, right? If you're not familiar with making signs, you're just like, my boss just told me I need to sign up. I don't know who to call, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to call a FastSigns probably than it is to call a local shop, right? Even if they're super known in their city, if someone is new or they're from out of town and they need to sign in your town, I imagine it's a lot easier for them to call it.
We service a lot of national global companies for that exact reason. Hyatt Hotels is opening in a market. Well, somebody saw our commercial, somebody went to the web. We typically rank number 1 or 2 in certainly nationally, in the local market, very much the same. And there's that confidence. Now they go to their website and they say, oh, we did a similar project for somebody in Minnesota or in Florida or California. And that's what Jeff shared with me. He's like, Mark, I never would have gotten a McDonald's to call me, or they wouldn't have known who I was. Yeah. But they went to the FastSigns website, found me, and what I've heard from a lot of our co-brands or conversions is it made the phone ring. Right now, people are calling and say, I think I never thought of it that way, but your example's dead on. Yeah. Right. If I'm in the local market, I know somebody, I may go to the local guy because we're in the chamber together. Yeah. But if I'm coming to the market or I'm a global chain, I want some confidence in who I'm picking. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, like, so FastSigns Grand Rapids, right? That's the one that's local to us, at least, right?
Amazing franchisees.
Yeah, 100%, right?
Yeah. They didn't make it because of the weather. Yeah. Did you get here?
Yeah, we drove. We were prepared. We knew it was going to be miserable. So
they were supposed to be here and they couldn't get out of Grand Rapids.
Funny. Yesterday, we were like, I don't think they're here. I mean, I looked around. I know a lot of the employees there, right? So I was like, I don't think they're here.
Sean was supposed to be here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he emailed me yesterday and said, we can't get there.
Yeah, it was gross all week for us, so that's not surprising. But anyways, they did a big job, pretty close to actually where our headquarters are, right? Okay. And they, in the end, they weren't the ones to do the actual install, right? We know the local shop that ended up doing the install, but they still got the job originally and were able to sell it because, one, they have the name behind it. Two, they have the salespeople that were capable of, closing that type of job. Yeah. And three, then they knew who to call to say, like, hey, some of this is way above our capacity here, which for them is crazy, right? They're a big franchise, right? There's a lot they can do.
One of our highest
volume. And even then, right, are still outsourcing some of that work to local sign shops. So, and all of that probably comes from they're at least in the conversation, right? Maybe they're bidding it out, but if you have the corporate name behind you, you're going to probably at least be in the chance of getting the job right. So as long as you have the people and the sales knowledge and the resources.
And, it's interesting. One of the things we talk about is that, and we all know this from this business, there usually isn't, especially for big projects like that, a decision maker. Yeah. It's a group, it's a committee, 100%. It's a number of people. And so having the confidence of them saying, okay, well, I'm going to use this sign guy, or we're going to use FastSigns. You go to the website, you see the resume, you see the background, you see the global 780 locations. So there's a confidence that comes with it. If we choose to outsource it, that's okay, right? It's helping the industry. It's great. But it's a balance, and there's no doubt that having the brand, no matter how we execute it, we're babysitting that project from start to finish, right? And we tend to like to focus on a bigger project because we want the reoccurring business. We don't want the one and done. Yeah. And so we're really focused on building relationships. I might know the project you're talking about, but
it's a big one.
I know that franchisee well. Yeah. And he's shared with me they've had some amazing projects there. It's a great town. I love Grand Rapids, by the way.
So to be honest with you, I know they did. You could be talking about a totally different one because they actually did two big ones.
Okay.
One just happens to be really close to us. One is downtown. So either one of those could be one of them, right? And but both of those jobs are ones that are super reoccurring businesses, right? Yeah. They're super reoccurring jobs that keep coming up. Those places need more and more signage every year, right? So,
and we teach and train that. That's a big part of what we do. It's how we sell. It's what we go after. I mean, we don't turn away the one and dones, but we really try to train that you need to go after the long-term relationship.
Yep. Yeah. Can you just go through what's the process look like if somebody is interested in starting one from scratch, and then what's the process look like if somebody's interested in converting from an existing one to a FastSigns franchise?
Yeah, sure. It's pretty easy. If you the easiest thing is, can I give my info out?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's mark.jameson, Jameson, like the whiskey, at FastSigns.com. But they also go to our website. We have a host of information on our website, both for conversions and co-brands. We have a page there with the information, the franchise fee and all of that. And then for new franchisees and the markets that are open. If the market's not open, but they're an existing sign business, we will consider it as long as they're not in somebody else's territory. Yeah. Obviously, every franchisee has a protected area. And they fill out an application there, and they fill out some basic information, and then one of our team members calls them. We take them through a discovery process. There's legal sides to franchising, so we have to disclose them. And then our team actually goes out and meets with them in their market. And we do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, if they're a conversion, we need to see the facility. We need to advise them what things they need to do. If they're a new franchisee, we like to sit down with them. We like to get to know them. We're careful about who we bring into the network. And we will take them on a tour. Like, hey, you need to go visit a sign. I'm going to take you in to see a FastSigns close by or nearby, so you can see the business, meet another owner, and talk to them. Our process is pretty regimented, and the timing of it can be as quick as 30 days, and sometimes it's 90 days. So it just depends.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But you reach out, and our team is always ready to help.
Perfect. Yeah, I think this was a great conversation. There's a lot of things I didn't know going into this conversation, so hopefully they got as much value at least as I did out of it. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you for supporting our show and including me, Tyler. We appreciate everything Wensco does. So.
Yeah, we were happy to be here. The show went super great yesterday. Obviously, it's starting again here. We're 2 minutes past actually, so people are probably rolling in right now. But thanks for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it. Thanks for having us here at the show. It's been great. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll see you in the next episode. So,
all right,
goodbye. Thank you.